talking about. They're this is a whole fucking ideology because they're talking
I
about so
say
many
I say
different
so in
things.
my video. This is literally state sponsored. What the fuck do they call it? State sponsored social advocacy, which is pretty much propaganda.
It's what it seems like. That's what it seems like. It's like it almost looks like. Look, get involved. Find chapters. They have chapters, of course, and then find and submit events. In this is almost cult-like.
Almost like a secret society run by what's his face.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's almost like tribal in a sense. Like they create the in group and the out group, right? Which is black people and apparently everyone else. Um, unless they deem you to be part of the club, right? And yeah, and it gets people to join. Like hashtag not all, but I mean this is sort of reminiscent a little bit of certain factions within the alt-right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like the clear white supremacists, not just like the you know not just the ethno-nationalists, but like the actual white nationalists that are in right.
Yeah, it's a scary world out there.
You know what I think though? I think honestly like this stuff's probably been floating around out there for quite a while. It's just that with the advent of the internet, we just have like a fucking bird's eye view on it now. Because you can literally just Google this shit and find it. As opposed to like in yesteryear, you had to
Well,
actually go
how
search
long
these
has the
people
website
out.
been up?
The Black Lives Matter one? Well,
Yeah.
I just fucking closed it.
Well, if you can find out how long they've been around.
Um, well, it's clearly not in the her story section, so I don't.
Oh. I'm on the other side of you there.
Let's go to the about section. 2012. I said 2012. I mean, it's 2012 or later, but yeah, it can't be earlier than 2012 because BLM kicked off after the killing of Trayvon Martin. So
Right, by a black man. I mean, by a Mexican.
yeah, because that has something to do with the police somehow.
Sure does.
Crazy town, fucking crazy town.
Yay! You'd think you'd get cement for doing something like that. Taking out the concrete.
Where did you go live? Did you go on Loki 3K or did you go on your own?
Loki 3K. I don't use my channel to do video game bullshit.
Okay, here we go. Sarah was fucking around on Twitter. That could do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see what the people did today.
What do you think the people did today? I think they masturbated furiously and just left it at that.
There's a lot of videos came out today. Unknown Archive went live. Harmful Opinions did a video. Non-violent video games. Fuck the violent mainstream. Blur, blur, blur. Steve Shies did a usual thing.
What's
A
his
big
usual
week
thing?
for material science. He does a little show like every day of the week, like Monday through Friday. He puts out a video, and he's got like a thing he talks about every day of the week. It's like a lineup, if you will, just like TV, if you will.
Okay.
Oh shit!
I watch his
Oh, shit.
videos
Oh,
more
shit.
to laugh, because he's just so fucking crazy.
Oh.
Honestly, I think like the echo chamber that he's created for himself, like he's got to be like the most paranoid motherfucker on the internet.
Why?
Because he just thinks everybody's out to get him. I mean, the guy has his own fucking block bot on Twitter. I mean, that's a lot of work to put into making sure you don't hear people you don't like. You know, that's impressive.
That is an extra step that's not a lot of people would take.
Michael Rowlands, gender dysphoria versus body dysmorphia. Because we all need to hear about that some more.
Oh, yeah.
Trender. Oh, he's saying transgender is a made-up word. It's a made-up word, guys.
Of course it is. All words are
All
made up.
words. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. It's actually I was watching a video that he put out that got mirrored on Demotivator Opinions channel. He was making that exact argument that there's no such thing as words that aren't made up, because words obviously require humans to exist, right? Because we've made up entire languages. These are basically what he's making the argument for, right? Is that
Postmodernism.
definitions, essentially, yeah, but the definitions are descriptive, which means that they're subject to change, as opposed to prescriptive, meaning that
Yeah, no, Aleister Crowley shit.
yeah.
Are you
I think he
just
was
saying
using
that, or
that.
do you know the Crowleyan philosophy? Do what thou wilt. Because it doesn't
No,
matter.
I don't. I have no idea what you're talking about. I was just not.
Okay, I'm just curious how many people just nod and say yes when I mention Aleister Crowley and philosophy. Aleister Crowley presented himself as the Demon King, or fucking the most evil man alive. Said he was into child pornography and into fucking kids and sacrificing virgins to the devil. Claimed he was
Why
the
would I
son.
know this?
Because
Why
he
would I
was
know
one. He
about
was
this
one of the
guy?
most influential philosophers of postmodernism. Look him up. He was incredibly influential in the music scene. Him and
I've never heard of this guy.
Well, you should take a look at him. He has a lot of philosophies. A lot of them are like that. They're the do what thy wilt philosophies. Basically, he takes postmodernism and he deassembles all of modern day. And he goes, well, guys, look, nothing really matters because we invented everything from morals to the way we communicate. So you can do whatever the fuck you want because these are just human subjugated, human imposed and human subjugated. How do I put them? Barriers that we put upon ourselves.
When you say subjugated, you mean subjective?
No, because we subjugate ourselves to these rules, I guess. Maybe I'm just not using the right word. We make, how do I say this? We put ourselves into little cages and little holes, and then we put limitations and rules upon ourselves. And these are part of the limitations and rules that we put on ourselves when really we don't need to. Because nothing is true, everything is allowed. Because even truth and everything else is subjective.
Yeah, this guy's new to me.
He's one of the most influential philosophers of the last 200 years. And incredibly influential in most music scenes and all the fucking, it's just, I don't know, the more you look into him, like, talk to, what's his name, Albert. He'll tell you all about Crowley and how fucking influential he is. I know most people don't like conspiracy theories, but I think they're kind of a lot of fun. You get to find out about a lot of cool people. And by cool people, I don't mean cool people at all. He's not in any way a good man or a good person. He did go out and say that He was one of the first people that, yes, sex with minors should be allowed, because again, it was always allowed. It's allowed in the animal kingdom. Why are we imposing it on ourselves, and
Yeah,
claiming that
brilliant.
it's wrong? No, but then
Alright, so we have, that sounds like Foucault.
hmm?
Michel Foucault. He was another postmodernist thinker. That guy was fucking nuts. Yeah, the two that I know of is Foucault, and then who's the other one? Heidegger. Those are the postmodernists that I know, anyway. The thinkers, anyway. I've never heard of this guy. I'll have to look into him.
Okay.
Did Albert introduce you to this guy, or did you know
No, no,
about him
no.
prior?
No, I actually only recently put together the connections. He was just known as a well-known Satanist and one of the latest ones that influenced. I think he even influenced Anton Zandreleve to write the Satanic Bible.
Oh, so that's why Albert knows about him then. Because he's I think he's Christian, so he likes to
A lot of
that's why Pizzagate was such a big deal to him.
well, Pizzagate is again still within the same realm. It's all within the same realm. You just find out that people just give themselves excuses to do whatever the fuck they want all the time. And if you read the Satanic Bible, they talk about it, how you should probably do whatever the fuck you want, for the most part, because it doesn't matter. You've already been damned as it is by God. So why should you still control yourself based on God's rules when you have already gone out of your way to, when God's already
Right.
gone out of your way to forsake you?
Yeah, I know. God forbid you use that evil satanic word, pragmatism. It just makes sense not to do these things for a lot of different reasons. Just on the physical plane that we reside in, you know. But no, you can't say that. Obviously, there's got to be some. There's got to be some like large, like overarching, like philosophy behind it. You can't just rely on
Well,
pragmatism.
that's why I don't believe in philosophy altogether. If you heard
Well, it's
if you heard my speeches on why I hate labels and philosophies, that's probably why me and Ad got along so well, because I've been seeing it happen continuously over and over again. People just continuously being like, oh, so this is this and this is this, and everything's on a sliding scale and everything's subjective. And I start to wonder whether they understand the words that they're using, and that's why I like pointing out the kind of garbage that I do. The people continuously conflating points and arguments, and never ever fucking admitting when they are conflating these points. Like, what I keep making the point that's I did my response to anti-SJWs, for example, and a lot of the times, the majority of the arguments that all the SJWs made was just conflating two points. They conflated a philosophical theory that they read about in school versus the legal definition of a word, and they can't keep fucking conflating 2 points because those 2 points aren't conflatable. They don't make sense in common and whatever, and they use a lot of fucking stupid intellectual language that doesn't help anything either.
yeah. Well, I mean, this is the redefinition of words is a huge problem. I mean, like,
Not according to them. Like
no, of course not.
that's why I keep saying that they don't believe that anything's forbidden, so they have no problem changing. Fuck, they keep going on about how words, the dictionary only defines words as their most popular use, so they go out of their way to make that thing the popular used version of it, and therefore hoping to change the word. But they still don't understand the very, very simple barrier that they're facing, because there's the dictionary definition of modern day common used terms, and then there's the legal definition of not modern day used words, and then there's their philosophical definitions from their theories in textbooks. These are 3 very different definitions of words that they all choose to continuously conflate. The last argument I had with Harbour, he tried to point out how they would conflate these arguments by saying things like, oh, what is an idea a thing? And I had to stop him right there and said, don't even go any further than that. If you let them go any further than that, that's how they get you into an argument. They can't take a literal definition of something that is not a thing and then say, is it a thing? That's literally taking the fundamental forces of the entire universe and saying, well, if gravity wasn't gravity, then would we not have everything else differently?
Yeah, it's funny that it's funny that you say that. I was actually going to bring up that same thing. It's just like when you look at gravity, for example, like the word exists because it defines a particular action, right? We created this word to describe a particular action that exists, right, in reality, right?
Yes.
It is describing something that occurs. So that particular thing, like gravity, something falling to the Earth because of the centrifugal force of the planet, blah 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 blah, rotating around another mass in the solar system, and then also the combined mass of the planet itself drawing things in. Um, that function, the function of gravity anyway, exists regardless of what we call it.
Right.
Call it gravity so that we have a predefined term to refer to this thing. If some jackoff decides to run around and just start calling, I don't know, potatoes gravity or something, the thing that gravity was originally termed to define, that, obviously something falling to the earth, that that process hasn't changed. And that's why I think that with certain things, like, I'm okay with language evolving. Languages have always evolved, right? But when it comes to certain things, I do think that um, a prescriptive definition is necessary, as opposed to a
Prescriptive.
descriptive definition. Because
Okay.
this is what they do: is they take everything and then they take every term that we have, right? They take those terms and they just turn them into descriptive definitions. So as long as basically, once that term no longer describes whatever it is that they're talking about, then they can just be like, well, it doesn't mean that anymore,
Right.
right? And this is why we have liberalism in the United States meaning something completely different than, say, liberalism in, like, Europe.
Yes. It's why there's so
Because,
many different definitions. Like we were talking about this the other day. What does it mean to be a conservative in the UK? Is not what it means to be a conservative in the US, and does not mean to be what it means to be a conservative in Canada. Everyone's got these different definitions and words meaning different things. That's why the constant argument came from, oh, we're gonna continuously call people cunts, but we're British, so cunt means something completely different than it does in America.
right.
You heard that argument, right? But I think Baring brought it up and a few other people that were more UK centric. They were like, we're gonna keep saying cunt because we know it bothers you and because it means something completely different to us in UK based.
Yeah. Yeah, well, as well they should. Um, like, I find a lot of this stuff, like, and the problem is that I find that it's obfuscation, really. Um, so, like, when you have somebody that's talking about something, right? When they're talking, let's just use liberalism as an example. Somebody's talking about liberalism, and then you've got some other jackoff who's been in, like, an echo chamber and thinks that liberalism means, like, globalist progressivism, right? Comes into the discussion because they don't have the same standard definition of terms, because people just kind of fucking play with these things, play with the definitions of words. You're going to have a fundamental misunderstanding between those two people right off the bat because they're working with incorrect terms. It's the same way, like, if you go into a science, right? The first thing that they teach you in any science that you're going to go into is the vocabulary. They're
Yep.
going to teach you what the terms mean, and then they're going to teach you how those terms interact with each
That's
other.
that.
And, like,
That's exactly the reason why, if you look at my channel, I have a playlist. It's called Dictionary Definitions. It's whenever I use terms, I'm gonna use those terms specifically as I define them, as the dictionary defines them, not as whatever the fucking theory that they want to define it as. I went one step further to actually start defining what I mean when I say things, so people can't be confused or conflate my points with other people's points. I can always point to say, there's my dictionary definition of how I use the word. If you don't like it, then use your own definition, but don't conflate my point with your own.
right. And see, that's the problem too. It's like in most debates, right? If you have, like, a proper fucking debate, sorry, I'm just looking at a picture of somebody pouring a beer into a cat's mouth, so that's entertaining. When you have a proper debate, the first thing that they do, right, is they define their terms. That's one of the first things you have to do in a proper debate. Is what model are we operating on, right? If you don't do that, then people will get just clogged up with semantics.
Yep, just arguing
Right.
semantics in circles and circles and circles.
Right, and so that anytime somebody tries to change the definition of word, you can just go back to the beginning and say, well, we decided based on this debate that this is the definition of this word or this process or whatever the fuck it is, and that's what we have to operate on. So you can't build a point off of a false foundation, right?
Yep.
That's the idea. And I think it's important, and I think a lot of discussion just falls by the wayside these days because people get caught up in semantics. They don't even know what the fuck they're talking about anymore because nobody can agree on what words mean.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Fully agree. Like I said, that's why I have my dictionary definitions playlist. It's words as we define them and how we are going to use them.
Yeah, and we should solidify that. I mean, again, language can evolve, but I mean, you can't allow the popular definition of a word to be the
Yeah, but look,
the guiding force of what it means.
you see it a lot with the feminists. They say him looking at me the wrong way and imposing his sexual energy upon me is technically rape. And we want the law to define it. But no. The legal definition of rape apparently has penetration in it. So they try to conflate the legal definition of fucking rape with whatever the fuck their version of rape is, of just being uncomfortable.
Yeah, see, that's the thing that's the problem I have, right? Is the expansion of the original definition of a word, right? We all know what rape is, right?
Do we?
Literally, it's like, oh yeah, absolutely. It's the same thing like with porn. You know it when you look at it. You know what it is. You know, like, rape to me anyway. This is just my definition of the word. It's when you forcibly, when you force someone into sex.
Okay.
You know?
Does it
When
have
you're
to be
talking
sex?
about, well, it would have to, yeah, it would have to be sex. It would have to be sex. That's
So
what,
y-
to
so
me,
y-
that's what rape means.
You don't
The
expand the definition any further than sex.
No, I don't. I think coercion into sex, coercion into any other sort of sexual act or bondage or whatever the fuck it might be, needs a different term. Needs something new.
It
It's a
has
different word for it. Not
sexual harassment, sexual assault.
well. See, that's taking the noun, right? So it's like rape, for example, right? This is what they did here in the U.S. when we had the because we did have an epidemic of it for a while. Basically people getting drunk and making stupid decisions and having sex without, they wake up the next day and they couldn't remember what happened, but they'd had sex or whatever. What people did is they took the noun of rape, because rape's a powerful word or whatever, and then they assign an adjective onto the front of it. So right, so the rape occurred. What type of rape was it? Well, it was date rape. So I was raped while I was on a date. The defining, or the adjective that's associated with the noun there is date. So they created a new term for it, and I don't think that is a proper way to go about defining a particular thing that occurred, because what you're doing is you're taking all of the connotations of rape, right, and you're assigning it to something completely different, which is two drunk adolescents having sex. Right. It needs its own term, and that's how I think that, like, language should evolve. We should call that something different, a new word for it, and it shouldn't be something that comes with connotations of a prior word that came, before it. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just my opinion, because that's the thing, when you do that, when you create phrases like that, like date rape, right? What people are gonna hone in on is rape, because they know what rape means.
Yes. Yes. They do.
Right. So if you say, well, I got date raped, a person's gonna hear, I got raped. That's what they're gonna hear, because it
Yes.
comes with all the same connotations of it, even though it's an entirely different thing. It's an entirely different animal that you're looking at there.
Yes. You
So-
have to take it another step further as well. Sorry, I'm just very passionately reassembling my guns, as you can see. They recently came out and said that we now
It's a
wanted to
It's a good time to talk about rape while you're just, fixing
reassembling
your
my
guns.
guns. Yeah. No, but
There you
like I don't know where it was, but I fucking heard a lot about it. Here is that a bunch of the feminists decided to make it part of their agenda to ensure that, um, I guess it gets reclassified as rape if you are on a date with somebody or if you're dating with them and you decide to lie to them. Basically, the act of lying to a person is now considered an act of whatever the fuck they want to call it, in an attempt to get to have sex with somebody, and therefore is theoretically rape in their eyes.
go. Right.
Does that
Sex.
count if they're a woman?
No, the women cannot get raped
Well, let's see. Well,
because
under
no,
UK
no,
law.
but see, that's how they conflate the points, right? They say, well, we don't like the legal definition of rape, but we're going to use the legal definition of rape to explain why women can't get raped. Because remember, in
Because
Canadian law, it's only rape if it's penetration.
Uh,
it's sex. It's sex through coercion, right? Which
The,
to me is not rape. Like if I go to a bar, for example, right, and I
Well,
meet a
hold on, hold on,
girl.
hold on. We've had this discussion many times. Not me and you in per se, but me and a few other people. So we've actually came up with a pretty interesting counterpoint to it, and we want to say makeup. Makeup is a lie through and through. It is not your natural look, and therefore, if you wear makeup and you have sex with a guy with the pretenses of you having that face, it is theoretically rape, because that man perceived you to be a totally different person than you actually were. Hence
Right.
the lie per lie.
If that's how we're defining it, if we're defining sex through coercion,
Yes,
as
it's
rape, then yeah, then makeup is a coercive tactic.
which we then take it another step further, and we look at all the studies that prove that men think stupider and are more agreeable to women with bigger tits, exposed cleavage, a certain ass type, and just generally being around them.
Jen,
Um,
rapist.
my big
So
titties turning.
you
So,
could take their entire point of their entire definition of rape, turn it around on them, and actually say, well, every interaction a woman has with a man is theoretically rape under your own definition.
right, and see, this is why I think you need to have defined terms for these things, and you need to not you have to be careful about associations to prior words.
Well,
You know,
I just
again,
like pointing that out specifically because I could take their definition and take it to the next stupid step to the degree where they won't like their own definition of their own terms. It makes it much more interesting for you to argue with somebody when you know what kind of tactics they're using and then use their tactics against them to point out how stupid their argument is. But
yeah.
that's just my thing.
Well, yeah, and I mean, this. I think the more relevant argument right now that's been going on, um, since I know now that you follow Bearing,
I
the whole
don't
argument
follow
about.
Baron.
Oh, you don't? I thought you said you were. Didn't you mention him earlier?
I am aware of things Baron does, but I don't follow him.
Well,
I keep putting that out there. I don't really watch as much YouTube as people think I do.
yeah, no, fair enough. No, he got into a bit of a dust up with the goof troop, as again Jeff Holiday likes to call them, um, with terms of consent, like what consent means, um, and this word consent, sexual consent, is undergoing some sort of evolution amongst feminists right now. And I think that's the because when it comes to rape and sex through coercion and whatnot, it all comes back to this idea of informed consent, right? Here's another one of those. Here's another one of those wonderful words where we have an adjective on the noun of what consent was, and now it's informed consent.
Well, once
Um,
that happens, it's a totally different definition. So I don't really give a shit. They have to establish a brand new definition from scratch for me to actually follow their logic. But
well,
yeah,
see, this
yeah,
is the thing.
sure.
I mean, back to my original point there. Like, again, if I go into a bar and I completely lie to a woman and tell her I'm a doctor or whatever, and I make a shit ton of money, and then she comes home and she sleeps with me under the assumption that I'm a big famous you know rich man, and then it turns out that I'm not. You know, does she have informed consent at that point for the sexual act? you know. And what I see this whole like argument about consent, what I see it going towards is that idea that unless a man is, and it's always men, it's never women
Of
because
course.
reasons.
We know exactly what those reasons are. It depends on how much of them we want to actually admit to.
Well, this is the thing. It's like basically men have to make sure that a woman is completely informed and has, all expectations met before the sexual act. Because apparently,
That's
for whatever reason, a woman's sexuality is that guarded. You know, like like if a man has sex with a woman under any sort of false claim or anything along those lines, then he is wronging her in some way. Because apparently a man and a woman can't come together and just enjoy a sexual experience. No, like,
because feminism is infantilizing to every woman out there. When they always say you are too dumb to drink and make your own decisions, too dumb to walk down the street and make your own decisions, you are too dumb to dress yourself, you are too dumb to think about anything, and therefore you should rely on our godly words.
yeah. And see, the thing is that I feel like a lot of women that probably, I would imagine anyway, like if I was a woman and this was the line of thinking that I was exposed to very early on, I would imagine I would be just fucking terrified of any sexual experience I was ever gonna have because
Yep.
That's what they do.
yeah, see,
That's why
that's
that's why the feminists have come out and declared that all sex is rape.
well, that
Uh,
might be a little bit of a hyperbole there, but
No,
I
no, no.
mean,
They literally their literal words were all sex is rape. There is no consensual sex.
are you talking about that one feminist, the oh, what is her name, the fat one?
The one
Right.
feminist, the all feminists, because I can take any one of these feminists and run with their fucking logic until that makes sense.
No, there is a specific feminist that actually believes that,
No, I
though.
know because she ran with their logic. I get it. I'm sure they don't all say that because that would be ridiculous, but most people find fucking consensual fucking forms that need to be signed before sex also ridiculous.
Oh, Andrea Dworkin, that's the one you're thinking of. She thinks that all penis and vagina rape, well, all penis and vagina sex is rape. That's her position. That because of the nature of the act. That when a man has sex with a woman, uh,
But but
because of
but who's to say
because of
it's
the
a man?
nature of the event.
If it's penis,
Well, we
no, no,
don't have
no.
definitions anymore.
We
Then
we have dogs. Dogs have penises and they can have sex with women.
so I gotta.
No, too much.
Honestly, but
So are vibrators then also considered to be?
No, that's female empowerment, my sir.
Well, that doesn't make
That's
any
a woman.
sense.
Well, no, that's because that's a woman. That's a woman. Just enjoying her
No,
sexuality
don't be silly. That's a
without the need
woman
of a
enjoying
man.
her internalized misogyny because she needs the dick. And if to need the phallic penis is actually just proof
oh,
of her internalized misogyny. She needs to internalize that misogyny all the time, to the degree where the internalized misogyny fucking, fuck, what do you call it? Where the patriarchy will now sell her a phallic object even if she doesn't want to date, a battery powered one no less, where so she can impose rape on herself several times a day if she wants to.
Yeah. See, I mean, this is when you get off into the woods with like radical feminists. They just think that um, they think that I get the impression anyway. And to be honest with you, I haven't really looked into a whole lot of radical feminist literature because I don't hate myself, but um, I think that the main argument that they're coming back to is that women are basically making the argument that women are the inferior of men, basically, just based on anatomy, based on the fact that women have children and men don't have to have that. Um, it's almost like a genetic.
Well, their own words
The,
are subjugation, are they not?
Yeah, this is the argument that they're
That's why they
making, though. This is
carry it on into PETA as all animal husbandry is also rape and fucking anti-feminist, and therefore everyone should be a vegan as well. Because animals are subjugated, and therefore women are subjugated because everyone's subjugated by the patriarchy.
yeah, you're talking about ecofeminism now. Yeah.
This doesn't matter. They're all offshoots of the same fucking illogical bullshit that we can call feminism or we can call postmodernism.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of conflation that goes on between all of that, but
Well,
yeah, no, like it's sort of strange though. Like feminism does run down that line of thinking. If you go down the rabbit hole enough, right? It's basically this idea that the empowerment of women comes through it's almost like the acceptance that women are like the underclass
the
just
cattle.
by nature,
Yep.
which is, I mean, the fucking hoops that you'd have to jump through to get to that conclusion.
Yep. But
But I
but
mean, this
it's pretty easy to get to though. They're not that big hoops. Like I said, you just have to remember those specific terms that they use. You just have to remember the way they think. Doesn't matter. Once you start
it's
conflating one
because
point, you start conflating all the points.
this is
First,
they call like the feminist lens, for example, right? The feminist lens. I feel like what that should be called is like more like feminist foundation. And this is the problem too. Any sort of ideology or theory that you come up with, where your foundation is inherently flawed by the core arguments that everything grows out of, like the soil of the philosophy, if you will. Um, when you look at feminism, that's basically where they're starting. So again, if you follow it down the rabbit hole far enough, um,
well,
you
hold on,
know,
hold on, hold on. Um, this is why I straight up blame fucking philosophy as a whole. Not necessarily. I blame actually a few things as a
mm,
whole. Philosophy and our education system teaching cognitive dissonance. Once their education system starts teaching cognitive dissonance, then there's absolutely no bounds someone will go to fucking conflate every argument they can to seem smart and to seem like they're, well, I will say for the most part, trying to do the right thing, but they don't understand. Have you heard my whole spiel about cognitive dissonance being taught to children at a young age? Just out of curiosity.
oh,
No?
me. No, well, hang on. I'm gonna pull a gen here real quick because I do need
You
to
need to
also
pee?
use the bathroom.
Sure,
So
sure.
I'll be back before we jump into the discussion here. Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay, go
go
ahead.
to the bathroom real quick, and then I'll.
So for the
No.
record, I rated Cyanox locked box
Uh
because he
huh.
hasn't been on in ages.
How do you think
He
he's
does
gonna feel about
actually.
that?
Yeah, he probably gonna be pissed, but I don't care.
Okay.
I needed stuff.
So if he balls you in, you can't get mad at him for it.
Well, yeah, but I don't know when he's gonna come back on, and we could use some of the stuff he had, and also he had the potato seed that Trigger was pissed off about. Just saying. Also, I also think all the zombies are kind of going for that house at this point.
No, they're going for my bed. You can see that they started digging. They already started digging. I've been finding more and more of them. It's
So I took a bunch of gun parts from his because he had a bunch of stuff there. So I'm gonna put it in that front box for you.
okay.
Use. And he's got a couple of flashlights and other shit too.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a first aid kit.
Is there none in the house?
No, he's got stuff to make it, but
I wonder.
Alright, I'm back.
All right. Um, I
I'm very efficient. Got that German blood, as Trump likes to say.
pushes all that pee out really quickly.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Did I send that to you guys? I don't even fucking remember.
Which one?
The little Trump video.
No.
The one where he's talking about his superior genetics and whatnot.
No, I did not see that one. I would like to see that one.
Let me find it. I don't even remember. Who did I send it to? I sent it to some people. Da 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 da. Yeah, it's a fucking oh, here we go. I found it. I'll throw it in your general chat there, Loki.
Sure, sure.
It's only like a minute and 40 seconds. This is what liberals here in the U.S. are pretty concerned about now. I'm gonna watch it real quick, so I'm gonna mute.
All right.
I don't know. It just makes me happy.
I've got 2 requests for you.
Uh-huh.
You can say no for at least one of them because I know one I can collect. But do you have a duct tape? I just need one.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I'm gonna make a crossbow. I've got enough stuff to do it. I've got a bunch of metal iron arrowheads. So I'm gonna try and collect feathers, which was my other quest. If you have some that you could spare.
I'm running out, actually.
Running out.
I'm running
Are you gonna
out.
run
I
around
just-
soon? Because then we can just search.
I'm already looting the crap out of the houses that are close by. I'm actually on my way
Okay.
back because I filled up my inventory.
Okay.
What? Okay, let's come back.
That stuff in the.
When did Hot Potato say hi?
I don't know. Is she even in here?
Why are you not in the chat then?
She's funny.
Whatever.
She could also be avoiding Minecraft.
Possibly.
Oh, that's good stuff. No, no, I was the one that linked her to it.
Oh.
And it was 10 minutes ago. She's still watching.
But not in the chat with us.
I don't know. Maybe she doesn't want to be one of the cool kids.
Oh, whatever.
I still stand by my theory that she's avoiding you.
No. We've been talking all day, actually. Thank you very fucking much. We had a bit of an argument earlier, but that's over now.
Sure.
Tell
Tell the internet.
I will fucking tell the internet. Jerk. No, we apologize. Do that occasionally.
Okay. Occasional apologies are always good.
She's saying she's tired.
I can see the chat. I can see it.
Can you see it?
I can. I have my laptop open next to my desktop, so I can read this bullshit. So I can see what's happening. You're tired because you just woke up. Interesting.
I'm just going to the house real quick. I need one more thing for my health kit. I thought I had, but apparently I don't.
Okay, well, go get some food and come hang out. If you want
Well,
to.
I've got food. I just need some green.
I was talking to Potato. You're already here,
Oh.
Jen. You're already here.
So wait, what's
Oh, he's about me. Sorry.
what were we talking about before? I left?
Cognitive dissonance being taught to us at a young age, and that's a really, really scary thought for me.
Oh yeah. This is what This is what communists do, actually.
It's
Like,
I don't know who does it, but I know it's happening, and I don't like it. I didn't like it in grade school when I first caught onto it, which is really surprising. That's I feel like I'm one of the only people that did catch onto it, and people looked at me like I'm crazy. I guess it was already too late. Here in
were
Canada,
you?
they teach you
Yeah,
this. Hmm?
you went through the social justice courses, I'm assuming.
I've been here since grade 3, so I went through all the bullshit. They teach you at a young point in your life that people that here in Canada we have a zero tolerance policy on hate. And I ask them what that means, and they normally tell me that they don't tolerate intolerance, and that just blows my mind that they don't seem to understand. Like I pointed it out in class from the age of like whenever the fuck I was in grade 3. I'm like, You mean you don't tolerate people who are intolerant?" And they said yes. And I'm like, no one finds this funny that you guys are literally saying that you're intolerant of people who are intolerant. They're like, yes. What's so funny? I'm like, how do you not understand that what you're saying
The
doesn't
double
make any
think, yeah.
sense? The double thing. I don't know if whether it's my upbringing or something
Well, no,
else.
this is actually kind of surprising. You think as a Russian you would you would take to that quite well. Um, I don't know. Like this is what Asian cultures tend to do. So like for example with the Chinese, if you go to China and you speak to a Chinese person, you ask them about politics du jour or whatever's hot in the news in China, right? They'll have their public view, which is what you're going to hear, right? But when they actually go home and they talk to their family about these things, they'll have their own view. It's almost like this sort of like duplicitous nature that they carry because of the collectivization uh, of their societies, and it's very it's kind of weird. Like the East, a lot of Eastern countries, including Russia, actually, um, this is generally how they operate. So everybody's got to be on board with the group think, right? So the opinion that you express to anyone, right, has to match up with what the general idea of the
Oh,
nation is at that time,
I
right?
was gonna ask if I could get 2 duct tape.
What?
Can I get 2 duct tape from you? If I ever, I think my bag's fucking gone. As gone as it's gonna be. All right. Thank you.
So it's like it's just when you talk, and this is also something that is fundamentally communists too, is this idea that the you have to hold the state opinion, right,
Mhm.
publicly, no matter what. You have to uphold the state opinion.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and this is what I find so funny about Red Frog, or Maria, is when she talks about Russia, she's hyper nationalistic, right? Um, I always kind of wonder in the back of my head if like if I was Russian, if she would open up and like have a separate opinion about things Russian to me if
Um,
I was part of that if I was part of that group. Um, but yeah, when you talk about Canada, I know that you guys have fucking social justice courses in your school,
this wasn't
which
like it wasn't like that when I first came here.
no, but you do have them now.
Yes, yes, we do. Now they're
Um,
almost mandatory.
which to me is really funny because social justice in and of itself, the term is a Marxist term.
It
Marx
is.
defines, yeah, he defines social justice as the method of upheaving the bourgeoisie or whatever.
Okay, here's my question to you. What does social justice mean, and why should I care? That's the way I normally approach a social justice conversation with people.
Well, now that we're talking about cognitive dissonance, I think that there is capital S, capital J, social justice, right? And I think there's lowercase social justice. Um, so social justice in and of itself is meant to the original coinage of the term. Right? It was actually created. The term social justice was actually created by a Catholic priest. Might blow your mind, right? But it was
Not
about
really.
well, it was about the classes, right? Um, and when what was it? Marx and Engels started actually discussing the class system. They got it very much right. That there's always, the upper crust, and then there's the poorer classes in any given society that you have. Um, Social justice is a method of basically giving class consciousness to people so that they understand who's at the bottom, right? And that the people at the bottom are actually the ones that hold the power. And basically, if they through social justice, basically class consciousness, they can seize the means of production, if you will, um, and make a more equal society, which is what communists initially set out to do. I won't go into that whole fucking beehive as to why that doesn't work, but no,
You
there's
you don't need
also
to with me. Remember, I'm from there.
I know. But the lowercase social justice right now, we have people running around in our country and in the U.S. as well, calling themselves social justice warriors, and or activists, I guess, not warriors. Warriors would be like the online variation of these people, but we have people. I have two examples I always like to bring up when I talk about the lowercase social justice, right? There was a case in the U.S. where I don't know if you recall this, but after like the Dylan Roof shootings, um, there was a whole discussion about whether, for whatever fucking reason, there's a whole discussion about whether we should be flying the Confederate flag in the U.S., right? And there was a woman who went to, I think it was in Georgia. That's a total guess. Could be totally wrong there. Where they were flying the Confederate flag outside one of the state buildings, and she climbed up. This is totally legal, by the way. She climbed up the pole.
Oh, you're
Um,
cutting out.
am I cutting out?
Yeah.
It's getting better.
Yeah.
Over here.
You were
Nope.
talking like a robot there for a second. I just thought you should know.
Okay, hang on.
Because you don't sound like a
This one.
robot, you know.
Is
Sounds
it
like
is
that.
it okay? Oh,
No,
is it okay now?
no.
Still shit.
Yeah,
Still shit.
How about now? How about now?
much better.
How about now?
Much better.
Okay. Anyway, so she climbed up this flagpole to take down the Confederate flag because she decided that the Confederate flag was a symbol of racial hatred in the U.S. and blah, 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 blah. She decided that she was going to take it upon herself, based on her own moral standards, to take this flag down because she was sick and tired of people just talking about it, having a discussion about these things.
It's getting worse again.
Yeah, I'm watching it. It's gone into yellow.
Hmm?
Give me a sec. I'm gonna refresh. Give me just a second. I'll be right back.
Are you using the fuck do you call it? The browser instead of the app?
Okay. How's it now?
Much better.
Anyway, so she decided that this was a bad thing, so she was gonna go and take down the flag. Well, she did. She got arrested. She got put in jail. And then she went on to, I don't know, some like late night TV show, some progressive rag. It was either Stephen Colbert or Jon Stewart. I don't fucking remember. And when they introduced her, the little tag that comes up, you know how they put the person's name out and then like their title or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on the TV show, they actually called her a social justice activist, and this was on mainstream media, and I'll have to find the link for you so you can take a look at it. But that's what they actually called her, and that's what she calls herself, right? Um, Now the second example was a woman who. Now we just recently had a Supreme Court ruling that is allowing gay couples to get married, right? Now there was a woman who decided that she was some uh, I don't know, she was a clerk essentially, in a particular state that was responsible for putting out the marriage licenses for um, you know her county or state or whatever. And as a little sort of like fuck you to the Supreme Court, she decided that she wasn't going to issue any marriage licenses to homosexuals after
You went
the
all fucked up
Supreme.
again. Mycroft?
Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, it completely cut out there for a minute. That's weird. Um, yeah. So she went to jail for not issuing marriage licenses. Um, and you should have seen the response of the state. I mean, we had state senators going out to basically say that she was a, great woman. She was fighting for her beliefs and blah 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 blah. And I found these two incidents kind of funny because both of these people were actually um, being activists through social justice in a sense. What they were doing is that they were bringing attention to what they find to be, through their own moral code, um, something that's unfair, if you will. Um, and they were using social justice means, which is just basically like
Terrorism.
bucking well, I would call it more like hooliganism. To buck the powers that be, whatever they perceived those powers to be, anyway. Um, to push their own morally like relativist standpoints on what they cared about, and that's what I term lowercase social justice, and it's just basically people pushing their own
Jen,
moral
I'm
code
going back.
onto
My
other people's.
inventory's full. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
So now I'm fine.
And so you can, and the correlation of
Holy
picking
shit, why are
hairs,
you...
obviously.
Okay, it's getting better again. Okay.
Still shit. Better? It's okay.
No,
It's good.
it's fucking up again. It just keeps coming and going. It's really weird.
You can close your stream and see if that helps.
What are you doing?
Doors.
Yeah?
So zombies can't get in. I can always get in. Zombies? I don't think so.
Alright. So is it better now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the internet connection, like I said. Maybe it's that weird temperature thing we were talking
Maybe.
about.
Maybe it's
Um,
my connection. No, it can't be mine because it's me and Jen that are experiencing issues with you.
yeah, it's clearly my connection. Something's up with my shit. I'll restart my router in a sec here. But yeah, but so that's sort of my point, though, is that when you look at this sort of hierarchy of oppression, right, that the progressive stack claims to be, the problem inherent in this theory of what I would call neo Marxism, really, is that anyone can claim to be at the bottom of the stack
Yes.
or the top. So this is the new flavor of Marxism. It's just basically they've replaced the old class consciousness of the upper and lower classes with basically identity politics,
Yep.
right?
Hence
And
my hatred for labels. They
right,
don't
and this
mean
is where,
anything.
but this is where y'all goes crazy because literally any class of people can claim to be subjugated based on, I don't
Anything.
know, arbitrary terms. Yeah, so it's garbage, and
Yep.
I find it funny when people are teaching social justice as though it's not an outdated ideology that clearly doesn't work.
Well, Marxist ideology, no less.
Right?
Oh wow.
It just
Oh wow.
breeds. It just all it does is it just breeds like discontent amongst different groups.
Well, that's why we're slowly
Eh,
watching them collapse in on themselves. We just have to wait it out long enough and keep fucking pushing back until, like, you heard the other day where they're like, well, being gay isn't good enough to be marginalized anymore. Sorry, gay people, you're out of the group. Now,
Well, yeah, gay men specifically. Lesbians are still cool though.
like, it really matters. What do you think happens when the gay people, when the gay men are going to be like, wait, we're being pushed out? So does that mean other people are being pushed out as well? Who else is
Well,
being pushed out?
well, here's the thing though, right? Because it swings both ways. Look at white nationalists.
Oh, no,
Look at the
that's
the concept of white genocide, right?
okay, but again,
Any group can be the victim. Any group can be the victim.
that whole white genocide thing again. I've spoken to people about what the fuck the ethno state is and what the fuck does it mean. And people have brought up the point to me of, well, would you be happy if white people were extinct? And I said no. And they said, well, there you go. Then you would also want to preserve the white fucking race or whatever the fuck. And I don't know
So
how they got
they
from
throw
point A
you.
to point B.
Yeah, that's called a loaded question.
I know what a lot of questions is. I've taken argumentation. But yeah, it's a retarded perspective that they think they're just gonna throw that shit at me. Clearly, white people aren't going to just be fucking killed off. White people are just going to interbreed with other people and therefore still be fucking human just because they're not a particular shade that they like.
Yeah. Well, that's the point of the argument behind the ethno state, though.
Ooh.
It's basically white nationalism has evolved into understanding that, well, you can't be a white nationalist anymore because, well, no one's going to accept that point of view because it's ridiculous and we live in a post-Hitler era, right? So the solution that they've come to is they've rebranded it into ethno-nationalism. Now, ethno-nationalism is all about cultural values, right? The example that they will point you towards is Japan, um, where
The
in
great white
Japan,
nation of Japan.
well, this is the thing is that they as a nationalist, right? This is their argument, right? As a nationalist, you have to respect the nationalism of other countries, right? So they can easily then point to Japan and say, well, Japan is technically an ethno state. But the interesting thing about Japan is that the Japanese government does not draw a differentiation between race and nationality in Japan.
Okay.
If you're Japanese when you're a citizen of Japan, right?
Yes.
So your ethnicity doesn't play into that. There's no in the in the eyes of a Japanese person is somebody that is legally allowed to live in Japan, right? So that's basically that's what they've turned their argument into, is that anyone that culturally identifies with a particular set of cultural norms and values, which gets really fucking hairy because when you look at the US, what is the US? What are our values?
I don't know. None.
Ex- well, the thing is that
There's
we
no
were
set values. There's no such thing as set values. As much as you were yelling yesterday. Oh no, no, not you. What's his fucking name? Fuck. What's his name? Jeff.
Ezekiel?
Jeff went on a whole fucking rampage about what it means to be American. There's very
Jeff
little American.
Holiday.
It was either Jeff Holiday or the other one. What the fuck was the other one's name? One of them went on the whole fucking rampage about what it means to be an American, how we can't. I was trying to explain to him. Okay, do you remember on the stream someone said we have to get rid of all identity politics? Someone started off with within this next year
Oh.
we're going to have to get rid of all the identity politics.
Sorry, who said that?
Just I don't remember who it was, and I had to step in and be like, well, no, we can't get rid of all identity politics because identity politics is still important because there's still like what it means to be an American and what it means to be a Canadian, and these are terms we're still using because they're still useful.
I don't even know how you would do that.
Well, you can't. It's not a possibility.
I don't think you can convince a majority of people in a given country or nation or whatever group of people to abandon what they identify as. Like, yeah, we can all sit around and say labels are stupid, but I'm still going to call you a Russian at the end of the day. You know?
Yes, but again, see, that's the thing. No, that's actually for my point of being stupid because I think I'm Russian least of anything else. Like you can call me Russian, but does that make me Russian? How Russian am I? It's just a label you throw on there. Like you can just keep calling me fucking by my real name. It would have just
yeah, right. But this is the point, though. It's just the same way. Like I'm an American, right? But I still call myself Greek. Why? Because I was raised with certain Greek cultural norms. I call myself that. And I'm basically pulling a Rachel Dolezal here, or Sean King, if you will. I am trans Greek, if you will, because I am technically an American. But I was raised with a lot of Greek traditions. Like it's a big part of what I consider to be part of my identity. And if you come to me and you try and strip that part of identity from me, no, we Greeks, we will fight. We Greeks fight. You know. So I mean, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna take identity politics out of it?
well,
Because you can't stop somebody from identifying in something.
right.
You can't.
Well, you could try, but it's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah. So we're in agreement.
Yeah.
We're agreeing.
actually.
Yay.
So Loki, I didn't realize that I needed the crossbow. Like I thought I had the knowledge to build it. I have everything for it. If I give it to you, will you make me one?
Sure.
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 Give you the stuff. What?
Pansexuality in Deadpool 2. Mundane Matt, you crazy bastard.
Well, they specifically made it a point to point out that Deadpool's pansexual and it's a new thing that they're just pushing because him and fucking Miley Cyrus and all these fucking idiots are now pansexualizing themselves. Because for fuck's sakes, you just can't want to have sex with regular things anymore.
My understanding of pansexuality is that it's just basically like being a slut.
Pansexuality is you can be attracted and want to have sex with anything, objects, people, plants,
piece of toast,
piece of toast, piece of dirt, piece of sharp knife. It doesn't matter. Hopefully, it's a sharp knife. Please let it be a sharp knife.
Just need to grab one thing and then I'll be right there with what I need.
Tis lay amuse. I don't see the point of that. Like, I mean, technically. When we're talking about sexuality, right? Like, pansexuality would simply be.
You basically love people because you think they're beautiful.
Not people. Has nothing to do with people.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that your sexuality can only occur towards either your own sex or the opposite sex.
Nope. Ask Ezekiel. He likes cats.
The kitty porn.
No, he doesn't.
No, but he prefers to have his female sexual partner wear cat ears and maybe a tail.
That's just fetishism, though. I mean,
What's the difference
like,
between fetishism and socialization for everything to be fetishism?
but think of it this way. Think of it this way. Okay. Um. All right. So here we go with terms again. People with a foot fetish. They've done brain scans on these people, um, and basically, people with a foot fetish have the same um, neuro light up. I don't know what the fuck you call that. You know, like the brain
Brain
lights up on a
activity,
fucking scan. Yeah. When they
neuroactivity.
look at feet in the same way as a normal person would look at genitals. So like
Yes.
say, you know, like you see a vagina, you're like, I'd like to have sex with that. Your brain will light up in a particular fashion as
Yep.
you know, like with people with foot fetishes have that same sort of reaction to
No,
feet.
I know what it is. I
Yeah.
understand the I understand the mechanics behind it. I understand the psychology behind it. I understand the reasoning behind it. Let me say, but like again, this is part of the whole thing. Is how far do we take it before we have to say, well, no, this is just abnormal. You can say it's fetishism, but
Well, I
when every fetish is now socialized to be appropriate and allowed and perfectly okay within the eyes of the people around you, let's say pansexuality says you can have sex with whatever you want whenever you want
well, this
because
is
it
the
can
thing though.
change up
I
at
don't
any
think you
time.
can. I don't think you can be physiologically attracted to cats.
You
Some
have
people
not
can be.
seen the videos I have.
I mean, like you see a cat and you automatically get sexually aroused.
Yes.
Some people do.
Some people do. This is the whole point. It's okay. It's the pro. This is the reason why we make our videos because we did a whole. We started with indoctrination. If you ever get the time, do watch the indoctrination video. I put a lot of effort into it. Siggy put a lot of effort into it. It breaks down how indoctrination works, what it actually means, and how to define and literally point it out.
So this is the socialization aspect then.
Th- this
It's
this
not.
this is this is socializing you from a young age to be told that okay, you know, right now there's you saw the bots for example in the Discord who are constantly pumping out half anthropomorphic animal porn continuously all the time non-stop, and like you can't get them to produce regular porn anymore. Like
Well, I
si-
wasn't paying close attention to that, but
it was actually starting to bother me after a certain amount of time, and then I had to start thinking about it, and then it's the realization that over places like Tumblr, for example, this is very fucking normal. This is a very normal type of pornography that these people view from a very young age. Their first experiences of being sexually aroused come from anthropomorphized animals. Now, since they can't get an anthropomorphized animal, they either dress up as animals later on in life because that normalizes. Once you experience one thing, you might have a shock to it, and again, normalization. The more you do something, the more normal it becomes. The more normal it becomes, the more it's too normal, and we know what happens when things are too normal. That's why we start going to fetish clubs, because we need a rise, we need a kick. They always say that serial killers escalate. So you always start off small, but you always move on to bigger and better things. So yeah,
yeah. Well,
you
this is
start off
this
with
isn't.
looking at animated fucking cat girls, and then you move on to animated cat people. Then you move on to just people who are cats, and then you just move on to cats.
Well, see, this is my argument though, right? I'm not saying you
Thank you.
can't. I'm not saying that you can't be socialized into these sort of fetishes. What I'm saying though is that there's no layer of epigenetics that's going to make you attracted to something that's not your own species. It's something that is socialization alone.
This is socialization alone, accompanied by normalization. This is why I'm incredibly worried about all these acceptance movements. These people are dragon kin. These people are fucking cat kin. These people are fucking dog kin. These people want to have sex with anything, everything, and all the time, and they will always find new weird things to have sex with. Now, along with this movement, we also have the pedophilia acceptance movement.
I knew that's where this was going.
This
I-
no, no, this always goes this way. I've been having this conversation for a long time because there's a huge pedophile community in my city. People that are pushing for
Oh,
pedophile
God.
acceptance. We have marches of pedophiles demanding pedophile acceptance. They want to identify as a pedophile because that's what they were socialized and normalized into. They're using the psychological terms to explain to people that this was done to them and they can't help it, so they want to be openly identified as what they are.
Good.
You're saying good, but they're saying we do not want to be discriminated against. It has to be illegal for us to be discriminated against. They want the government to fucking create programs for them in mandatory fucking training for people to deal with them, for them to not be discriminated against. And that means non-discriminatory all the way through. They're even using the gay, people originally thinking the gay people had a mental disorder, and then realizing that maybe they don't have a mental disorder. Maybe it's a brain matter. It's some other fucking issue.
No,
But-
because even no, even that is not epigenetic. I mean,
Very little to do with epigenetics. I know what epigenetics do. Sigyn's sister is actually an epigeneticist. Me and her discuss this shit all the time.
yeah, but that's my point, is that it can't be epigenetic.
It's
You-
not
you-
epigenetic. It's socialization to the fullest, and that's what the liberal fucking Marxist people want to fucking push continuously and over again. They want everyone to know that none of these things are genetic. These are socialized behaviors, and therefore everything's on a sliding scale depending on where you fall on that scale, and that scale can be shifted at any time. So nothing should be forbidden. Everything should be allowed because it's all part of your imagination anyway. This is the Crowleyan philosophy of do what thou wilt. This is exactly the kind of shit we're talking about. This is the postmodernism fucking continuously pushing whatever the fuck you want it to be. It's the same repeated fucking cycle again and again.
Yeah, well, that's. I don't think anyone with any common sense, and even science isn't going to back this up. Though.
But science isn't backing this up. That's why we have Jordan Peterson fighting these people, telling them you have a mental disorder. You literally have a mental disorder. You have body dysphoria. There's no reason for me to be legally mandated to call you what you want when you have a mental disorder that needs to be fixed. We can't have acceptance. We need fucking treatment. It's the same thing with the pedophiles. We can't just have continuous acceptance. We need treatment. And these people are doing. What are they doing? You see it every day now. They want acceptance movements. These people fucking think that they're fucking dragons from a different time and their soul is of a dragon and they want to have sex with dragons. So they sexually identify as fucking dragons and you have to accept them as dragons. This is the fucking problem with the movement. This is what worries me more than anything else. And they're going to continuously push this in schools younger and younger. And we're seeing it being pushed at a younger and a younger age. Why are the safe schools so important? Why do people keep talking about those goddamn safe schools? They're literally telling kids that their gender and their fucking bodies aren't their own. And it doesn't matter. They can be whatever they want to be. And if they want to be a girl, we can transform them into a girl today. This is that same.
What is a safe school?
Have you not
What's
heard
that?
about the Australian safe schools? It's a
No.
preschool for transgender children. The children are under the age of 5 and they're already being helped to progress and transfer into a different sexuality, into a different fucking gender, because their parents have decided that these kids are born with gender dysphoria or whatever the fuck they want to call it. If your 5-year-old thinks that he's a girl or he might be a girl, or the parents fucking keep pushing him to think that he's a girl, then he is a girl and therefore he should be allowed to be put in a safe school for him to transition and socialize himself as a girl for the rest of his life. And they start them on hormones and treatments at a young age.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm with Sandre on this point. I think prior to puberty, children do not understand. They don't understand their sexuality.
Well,
Or
this is the point. Me, you, Sandre, people who have a glimpse of fucking understanding based on science will know kids are stupid. Most adults are stupid. No one knows what the fuck they want or what they are. We know that you don't know what the fuck you are until your fucking puberty hits, but these people have pushed the government to allow safe schools. Kids as young as fucking 5 years old to transition into a new sex.
Do you want me to make doors? Because
yes,
I don't
please.
mind.
Please.
Save you some time.
Like this is the issue. This is why I kind of started this channel, my channel. This is the kind of stuff I need to talk about, and I need to keep pushing out there. That not only is the fucking liberal left agenda is retarded as fuck. They keep using this circular logic of everything's a social construct, therefore nothing is permanent and nothing is really real. And they keep fucking falling into this loop where they're just allowing themselves to believe anything they want to believe at any given time. And for anyone to ever disagree with them is actually a horrible, oppressive piece of shit. When really these people just need therapy.
Yeah, well, I can agree with that. I mean, think about like like if you actually look at actual transgender people. Now, here's the thing. I can actually, hopefully you actually, hopefully you understand that like there is such a thing as a transgender person, right?
Okay, why wouldn't I understand that? That's fine. I've watched a bunch of neuroscientists talk about how the brain actually develops during what's it called? Fucking in the womb, and how the redistribution of hormones with testosterone and estrogen actually affects the
Right.
shaping of the brain, and therefore fucking affects
Okay, well,
change
I know.
even
I have
changes
to.
the sex of the.
I have to ask this question because there are a lot of people out there that will posit this argument and then go on to say, well, there's no such thing as transgender people because of this, which is, I think, patently untrue, because of the neuroscience that we can see, as well as the way that hormones impact a maturing brain. But here's the thing, though, is that when you look at transgender children, right? They might have some sort of gender expression of the opposite sex at a young age, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not enough. It's not enough until they hit puberty, for them to actually start feeling the changes, to know that to know that they're not just simply a more masculine female or a more feminine male, because uh, they haven't actually gone through the estrogen or testosterone flush that occurs during those stages of their life. Which basically, that's the unfortunate part about the disorder, is that they have to hit that point first. They have to get to puberty. Once they hit puberty, then that's when you're gonna actually start. That's when they're actually gonna start seeing and actually feeling.
Their
Um,
sexuality.
no, the
Their
dysphoria.
dysphoria. No, that's if they have dysphoria. Let's not jump to the fact that they automatically have it, just because certain kids like to play with dolls and certain kids like to play with fucking action figures, which is
Right,
just fucking
right.
more hard dolls.
Yeah. And see, this is the thing, though, is that medical science will tell you that, well, if you start these children on hormone replacement therapy prior to, or blockers is what they're called, blockers, prior to puberty, you can actually have a much better result. Um, uh, if you start them on these things before they actually go through puberty, when they actually have that testosterone flush or estrogen flush, whatever it may be. Um, but the problem is that these kids, I mean, they're still kids. They don't know what's going on with their own bodies. Um,
But their crazy feminist parents definitely think they know exactly what's happening with their
and
with
this
their
is the thing,
bodies.
is that this is why it shouldn't be left to the parents in this situation. It should be left to a medical professional. And I honestly think that medical professionals need to understand that the science is still out on this one, so they shouldn't be prescribing um, hormone replacement therapy or blockers to children, prior to puberty. Like, to me, this is very simple ethics. If the science is not out there yet, if we don't understand it well enough yet, why are you why are you pushing some sort of medication? Like, that's the thing I'll never understand with these, with certain medical professionals. Because
Because
to
they
me, to
get
me, to me,
paid
it
to
just
do
looks
it.
like, yeah. Well, I mean, look at doctors who made a shit ton of money cutting off parts of the dick, man. Like, it's, to me, it should be a really simple ethical discussion. Like, the whole concept of do no harm. should be at the
Taken
forefront
seriously?
of any medical decision. But it's not. Unfortunately, it's not. We're not. We're not. Our doctors are not pure ethicists for whatever fucking reason.
Well, when we tell them that. Never mind. I'm just gonna go on another fucking rant complaining about doctors next. Jen, I'm heading
Yeah.
back. My inventory's full.
Okay, I'll be right with you. I've got a flaming arrow schematic,
I have one. I
You
already
have
read
one?
it, yeah.
and I'm going to read that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
It's.
we
Hmm?
One
we
more second.
reached.
I'm gonna be right there. I just had one more guy I could raid stuff from. Do you
It
want me to
seemed.
take? Oh shit! There's a nest.
What?
Yay! Finally found a nest with some goddamn feathers in it.
Minecraft?
Oh no no no! I was just gonna say like I feel like we
Sorry. In the next house.
Yep.
I feel like we reached the age of reason and then completely regressed. I think
Well,
that's where we are now.
some of us have reached the age of reason. Some of us have reached the age of, again.
Oh, I just mean as a species. As a species, like we had modernism. Some of the best philosophical minds of our time, I think, honestly, were modernist thinkers, and the unfortunate travesty of philosophy is that when someone posits something, your job as a quote unquote philosopher is to poke holes in it, you know. So that's where all of this madness came in with postmodernism. Have you heard of? I've probably already drunkenly ranted at you about this, but I mean, positivism and anti-positivism.
Nope.
Really, I haven't.
Nope.
That doesn't sound like me.
Well, maybe we and you haven't actually had the chance to actually talk about any of these more important issues yet.
It's actually they're two philosophical schools, right? And I know you've heard them by other names. You know of the Frankfurt School. You know of critical
Oh
theory
god.
and whatnot.
Yes.
You
No.
you aware of that?
I went to a
Okay, so
liberal university, learned nothing. So
well, see,
yes.
that's actually all anti-positivist theory from the 1920s. Um, the positivist movement is basically what's bred um, the rationalist sphere of thinkers, if you will. Um, so when you look at people like Sargon or I don't know, I'm trying to think of other
Do you ever check
YouTubers.
the mailboxes?
Yep.
Because they've got paper.
No, I don't care about paper. I have too much. Okay, so people like
'Cause I
Sargon.
keep collecting it. Sure. I just wanted to check that car. You already
People
heading there?
Home?
Yeah.
Yep.
One of these days we'll get up to the next run, Forest Run.
One of these days.
One of these days.
people like Sargon though are an outgrowth of the positivist movement. The rationalists. Now, positivism was born out of basically a bunch of upset social scientists that no one was taking social sciences seriously. So what they tried to do is apply logic, specifically syllogism, to social sciences, and that basically the only thing that you can posit to be true in a social science is something that you can prove through logical discourse, which sounds great until you apply it to people, which here's the thing, the unfortunate thing about humanity and people is that we are not logical beings. We don't operate off of any given logic. People are crazy. People operate off of insane, just illogical. Here, let me put it this way: we're not Vulcans, right? We're not
We have
Vulcans.
religion, so that says
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. We're a complicated species, and We like to pretend that we're not. And the rationalists or the positivists wanted to basically get a little more clout, if you will, into the social sciences. And the way that they wanted to do this is by using logic and syllogism to basically the same way that it's used in science, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because science is also obviously based off of the scientific method, which is completely logical. You look at math and physics and chemistry and whatnot. This is all logic. It's all logic basically. They tried to
Ooh.
apply the same method
Did you
to
hear that,
social
Tim?
sciences,
I heard that.
which bred things like the Frankfurt School, which was the opposition, the philosophical opposition to this idea, which is where you get the concept of everything is subjective. Everything is based on the humans, the individual humans' experience. You know, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, then it never fell and there's no sound
Right,
because
idiocy.
right. Um, but they both. Here's the thing, though, is that both the positivists and anti-positivists do have their own flaws, and I find it really funny because I look at people like Sargon, and I think that um, the flaw in Sargon's thinking, right, is that because you've heard this idea, I'm sure, that fuck your feelings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, see, the problem with that sort of mentality is that when you do that, um, uh, you're going to you're going to enrage quite a lot of people who might feel differently about what the quote unquote truth is or the quote unquote right way of going about things is, and then they're going to push back against whatever sort of thing you're positing is. So, my argument here, the thing that I'm driving at, is that with positivist and anti-positivist movements, there is a middle ground, right? You do still have to understand that human beings are emotional creatures and we are massively illogical about a whole sundry of things. But at the same time, we're also not this purely subjective race. You know that we're not things still exist. If a tree falls in the woods, for example, yes, it still does make a sound regardless of whether anyone's there to hear it or not. There's a middle ground between these two things, and like eh, the positivists and anti-positivists need to come together on these two things. And point being though that this is the flaw. This is the inherent flaw in philosophy is that anytime somebody posits something, right, there's going to be some other guy who's going to be like, well, maybe that's completely wrong. What if we go off on this completely different tangent and take it a completely different direction, right? As opposed to taking the best things from both lines of thinking and putting them together into a solidified philosophy. Um, but that's just my opinion about the world and things and stuff.
Well, it's a decent opinion. Nothing I can really argue against except for the fact that there's a very small possibility of these two groups ever coming together for anything other than a
I know.
fight.
Yeah, I know. But that's human nature, man. That is how humans are. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Well,
Wait for the world to end.
the world's not
Do
going
your own
anywhere.
We gonna play some video games? That's what we gonna do, my nigga.
It's fun though. That shit is fun though.
Yeah.
Fun shit.
But yeah, no, the world's not going anywhere, and there's almost
We got plenty.
nothing
We
new
got
under the sun.
well. We got plenty of time to debate all this shit. So who gives a fuck? If people weren't sitting around, you know, talking philosophy or like, politics or whatever, we'd all be very bored people. I think.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, whatever. I feel like I need to either argue something or fight over something else.
Want me to send you cat pictures over Twitter?
No, I've had enough cat pictures for my lifetime.
Man.
Are you a cat person, Mycroft? Just asking.
If I was to own an animal, yes, I would own a cat over a dog. Well, I'd no use for a dog. Like, I mean, what am I gonna do with a dog? Like, if I was to own a dog, I'd want to have a plot of land. I'd want to be like a hunter or something, so the dog would have something to do. Like, I'm not the type of person to own a dog without like having some purpose for it. Like, the entire species of dog evolved alongside humans for some purpose, and you've got like sheep herder dogs and all this other shit. When I look at like these little tiny dogs, you know, like little fucking yappy bitch
Mhm.
dogs that people have these days, pisses me off. I'm like, this dog can accomplish nothing other than yap. It can't even defend your home. Like, what's the point of that?
There isn't any.
Yeah,
Just like there's no point to most people.
Basically, the only kind of dogs that are little that have any use are like the original Jack Russell Terriers were meant for rats. Like they were bred literally for rats, and that was
why wouldn't you just get a cat? They do that all by themselves. You don't even get
because
you don't even
rats
get to
can
breed them.
eat and kill cats.
Well, if you got a shitty cat, maybe.
No, rats can kill and eat cats. They're vicious. Like they'll attack you too. They're
Oh.
I
fucked
had a
up.
pet rat before. It didn't try and
Well,
attack
yeah,
me.
but pet rats are different though. They're also really cute when they're pets, and they're smart.
Very
No,
smart.
I'd still get a cat though, and it's only because I'm lazy. Like I don't feel like I don't feel like I'd be a good dog owner. I wouldn't pay enough attention to it. You know, like
Yeah, well,
a
they're
dog.
maintenance. They're maintenance.
Yeah, a dog's like an emotional investment too. Like you gotta be willing to like spend time with the dog and develop the relationship. A cat will just straight up fuck off. They don't give a fuck. You know, like that's the kind of animal I want.
Mine leaves me alone for the majority of the day.
Yeah, that's a great thing about cats. They'll just like occasionally saunter up and like climb on your lap because you're you know,
Warm source
basic
of heat.
exactly your source of heat. You know.
It's the only reason she comes to sleep with me.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, and I think that the relationship between man and cat is far more symbiotic. Because honestly, if I wanted a friend, I'd go get a friend. I wouldn't get a dog. Like I noticed a lot of people do that. Like the concept of the man's best friend or whatever. It's like, why don't you just go get a friend? Why don't you get a dog? You just like want some subservient slave? Like what's that about?
That's pretty dark.
But it's true. It's true. Let me red pill you, my dude.
Okay, let's go.
I'm giving you something. Well, I'm gonna leave it for you on the top one. You don't have to take it with you. It's just like if you need food or something. I've got some grilled meat
Oh, okay.
and some water.
Oh God,
You're such a dirty monkey, man.
What? No, this article is fucking cracking me up.
Uh-huh.
France is asking bondholders to take a long-term view. Yeah, so the European Central Bank just recently quashed their quantitative easing on a whole bunch of different countries in Europe, and so now to get people to invest in bonds, their but country will tap an existing 50-year bond that matures in 2066. Fuck you, France. Just elect This is the thing. I know this is bank talk. This is bank talk for we're worried that Marine Le Pen is going to get elected. That's what you're worried about, a populist leader coming into your country and shutting down immigration because of progressivism, and your bank's talking for you right now. Well, fuck off. Fuck off. Just get fucked. Following Japan's decision to adopt negative interest rates, shocker, and cap the yield on benchmark 10-year Japanese bonds at zero. Japanese pension funds and insurance companies have looked overseas buying more foreign bonds. You know why? You know why, you dumb shits? It's because you fucked your countries up. They're buying low now because they understand that this whole thing is gonna fucking tip over into the fucking sea. You dumb shits. Oh my fucking god. Europe,
So,
why?
you think the Europe is gonna get hit pretty hard economically?
This is what the banks are, dude. Banks are betting on this. They're betting on Marine Le Pen getting elected, triggering the EU referendum. France is going to pull from the EU. That's going to collapse the EU. Euro is going to just fucking disappear overnight. And what do you think that's going to do to individual economies?
Nice.
They're gonna skyrocket. Certain ones,
Good,
not
good.
Italy, not Greece. Those
Well,
I just wanna
Greece
put
doesn't
my,
have any money.
no, their countries will be fucked.
Yes, because they don't
Literally
have any
fucked.
money.
But certain economies will flourish within Europe, and this is what they're betting on. That's why they're buying bonds now.
Okay.
Mm.
Actually, I just want to make sure. Don't need.
It's fucking great.
Are you ready?
I can't
for the
wait till
apocalypse?
April. I can't wait till April. April's gonna be fucking great.
Investing time? Because you're banking,
No,
right?
no, because Marine Le Pen's gonna get elected, and when that happens, I'm gonna fucking, oh man, all my British friends, all the people who are just like so worried about fucking Brexit, like you have no idea. France is gonna save Britain. This is what's gonna happen, and that's exactly how I'm gonna put it to them. Like, this is what happened. France decided to leave the EU because electing Marine Le Pen means that the referendum is gonna get triggered. Basically, electing Marine Le Pen means absolutely 100% means that the EU is dust, because that's the only reason that the French people would elect her, because she's a single. This is the only thing that she's concerned about, right? Is killing the EU, and electing her means killing the EU, and the French people know that. If they put her in office, the referendum's gonna
Haven't
go
the
through.
French been fucking electing people that would kill the EU anyway?
No,
Okay, guys. Sushi Man has promised to help me fix my stream, so if he's still there, I'd like him to tell me how to fucking do that. But I'm gonna stop streaming.